Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea. Welcome back to another game. Today we'll be having a look at one of Korea's best in Rogue. Here, the top right spawning as the blue Zerg player, and in the bottom left spawning as the red Terran. It is going to be China's finest. Indeed, it is Kaizi's time. Time is one of those players who, especially in TVZ, can put up these big performances against the top guys. The first time I saw him do that was against Serral and Aces Rock in 2019. It wasn't quite the peak of Serral's reign, but he wanted to take a second gas. For a second he forgot he wasn't playing TVT. But yeah, that was at the top of Serral's reign. And Time just kind of came in. It was the round of 8 of the Aces Rock. And Time said, you know what I can do? I think I can give you a run for your money. The series ended up 3-2 in Serral's favor, but Time had some big opportunities to win that series. And I think that was the first time that I really thought of Time as one of these people that's like, wow, he's actually capable of beating the best of the best. And not with cheesy stuff, just with solid mechanics, good strategies, insane unit movement, and good decision making. Just solid play overall. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be what Time is going for once again. Of course, it is a bit more than 2 years later at this point, and people change. People's mechanics get worse or better, but in general, I still think Time is one of these really quick players that loves to play the kind of Korean-inspired TVZ style. You know, the very fast-paced. Ooh, what is this? Okay, it's a second Rex. That's cool. We'll get to that later. But yeah, he likes this fast multitasking, slightly too risky. I think he's a bit similar to Bunny in that way, in that they both like to take risks that perhaps don't really have that much of a payoff, but there is some kind of payoff, you know? It's like betting $100 to win $250, and they'll do it every single time, and very often they're correct as well. So it's really fun to watch these guys play most of the time. Anyway, we're opening up with a second Rex. This is just a standard 2-on-1 or an old school 2-on-1. And a lot of Terrans have been kind of trying to, well, not reinvent the wheel, but just start using the wheel again. As the 2-on-1 has been coming back into competitive play. We kind of first saw it again, I think. First in the GSL, Maru did it a couple of times. And then in the last, where was that? Was that the season finals? Or Aces Rock it was actually, Serral versus Maru, in which Maru played this build 3 times in a row and kind of destroyed Serral with it. As, the way that Maru played it was, he'd kind of fly around with his first 2 medevacs sniping overlords, and then when the 3rd medevac arrives, that's when he goes. You know, not before, not after. He can trade if it's a really good trade with a 2 medevacs, but he doesn't really want to waste any energy on the medevacs. He doesn't want to waste any health on the Marines, and he doesn't want to really waste any health on the medevac either. This Reaper's looking for, well, potentially a creep tumor. Won't find it, as Rogue was rather patient there. 44 out of 44. Tiny supply block here for Rogue. We'll get out of it, and 2 more overlords on the way, so I'm not worried for the Korean Zerg, who is, of course, a quick player. Time with the starport as kind of expected. I mean, if you're opening with a second barracks and a factory, there's really no other build order that makes any sense except going for that starport. Technically, you could be throwing out a tank, but 2 Rex tank is not actually a build. And then again, sometimes people do things that are not builds, and sometimes these builds that aren't builds even win games. So you're not going to hear me complain too quick about something that I don't recognize. People should finish up, and at some point we'll also get a 3rd CC, of course. I'm not quite sure if you get that in the wall, actually. Look at that. Rogue was pretending like he was going to block something. Okay, he's going to get a CC in the wall. Then a 3rd depot will finish up this wall. Okay, this is going to get real interesting. So ideally what I recall is that you want to be at 54, 55 drones before you start unit production against this. You want to get a very high queen count, so most of your larvae go into drones initially, and then with your very high queen count, you should just be capable of kind of holding it. And afterwards, you might need a bunch of links. So we see 50, double evo, and one of the gases has already gone down, so a couple of drones going there, but it's not the greatest drone count. First overlord goes down. Time seems to, well, does he actually want to trade? No, he doesn't want to trade. So he takes down 1 overlord and is kind of content with this. You see this? Just looking for more overlords more than anything else. These rocks are being taken out. This is a lot of links, by the way. This is no small amount of links, and I'm kind of surprised by that. Okay, we see 2 tumors being taken out. A nice grenade as well being thrown as it kind of pops those queens into the air. And here comes the third medevac without any units. Here we go. Picks up the units now. Combat shields finishing up in about 20-ish seconds. And we have the orbital command morphing into its orbital form. Well, the command center morphing into its orbital form. As this is kind of the main strength of this build order. This timing, right here, right now. And funnily enough, I don't think it's going to be doing much, but I think it will do enough without doing anything. And I'll tell you all about that in a bit as we see this engagement. Rogue should be able to clean this up without any major losses. Good target fire with the mine there. Really waiting long with it. No Marines actually going down. Single queen in the main will be able to take out this medevac, which is a big deal. 2 medevacs do stay alive. As the action kind of continues here with time dropping into the main base. Might be able to get another Ling. No, instead loses another Marine. These queens are in a position which might make it difficult for these medevacs to escape. And what I was kind of referring to earlier was the fact that the Rogue had a very low drone count for quite a long time. His fort base is quick, which is nice, but he just hasn't been mining that much up until this point. Now we see him go up to 60, 63 drones. Probably should be going up to a number closer to 75. We have triple hatcheries as well. The fort base is about to finish up. 12 more links. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm afraid of here for Rogue. Sure, he didn't take any damage, but he also has a drone count that honestly would make no one jealous. This is the type of fight that you pray for. If you're a Zerg player, your 1-1 is about to finish, and you have 70 links that aren't really doing much of anything. If you can catch your opponent with half his army moving across the map, yeah, that's generally considered a good thing. So, nice little trade there for Rogue, who took out a bunch of Marines, and is going to kind of alleviate the pressure on himself there. He's just saying, alright, time. Good luck moving out with an army that consists of what? 30 Marines total. Good luck having 2 drops. Ooh, F2 back home. Very sloppy play there, out of time actually. Who's afraid of a major attack. And we are at 75 workers right now. I wouldn't mind seeing a 5th base. We do have double... What's this guy gonna do? I was afraid he was gonna build another hatchery. I mean, I'm a big fan of macro hatches. With 3 macro hatches, that has to be pushing it a little bit. So I wouldn't mind seeing this 5th base go down though, as I think we're kind of getting near a drone count at which a 5th base would start. 5th base would start making sense. That main base is getting close to mining out as well. You see 4 patches with 20, 30, 45 minerals. Like, ooh, that's a medevac that went down there. And let's take a look at the resources lost. You see resources lost is actually in favor of the Zerg here, but yet the supplies are equal. And that's just because Rogue was on such a low work account for such a long time. And even, 77 is good. Is okay-ish. You know, I'm not going to complain about that. You can get into 8 gases with that. He has the Hydra then, the Infestation Pit, 2-2 on the way. You have Banelings being morphed. The Baneling count is actually really low. I wonder how Rogue wants to kind of go on this army, kind of initiate on this army. There's no mines. I guess he can just go straight away. Yeah, no problem there. Where's the splash here? Okay, it's all tanks at home. Single lip is also arrived. I'm not quite sure what that bad boy is doing. Second factory after the 4th CC. So time is switching it up. I'm not quite sure if that is because he wants to switch it up or because he was just forgetting to macro a little bit. He was floating a fair amount of money there. Almost up to 900, 300 gas. Even after starting 3 barracks and a factory, he was still floating a decent amount of money. So a little bit sloppy here out of time. Who honestly shouldn't be able to get anything done here with this pure Marine army. Like, he might be able to kill a tumor, but trading against Ling Bane should be close to impossible. He's gonna pick up, move back. Still has a bunch of Marines at home. This fort base should start flying ASAP. We have 75 workers already, which means that at least one of the bases is going to be majorly oversaturated. I don't quite see where. Oh, look at that. These guys are chasing absolutely nothing. There's just 3 SUVs moving around like a bunch of idiots. Lurker then is about to finish up, but without seismic spines, there still is potential for either a timing or you do have this area, okay? In this area, a couple of tanks up here, put a tank down here, then a couple more tanks down here, you know? You do have a setup. And if there is no Vipers, if there is no seismic spines on Lurkers, tanks and marines actually perform pretty well. Vipers right now are being built. Seismic spines isn't being researched as of yet. And rather than seeing a big push forward, we're seeing these small pushes kind of meant to deny a little bit of creep. We don't see any major attack. And honestly, I doubt we're going to see a major attack here out of time, as that timing window is kind of disappearing rapidly, right? 2-2 has finished a while ago. If you want to push with maxed, what you want to do is you want to move out that 180, 170 supply, and then as you're moving forward and clearing creep and you're getting closer to that big fight, that's when you want to hit max. And that is when all your units kind of arrive at the front. That tends to be the goal for the Terran, as you see that this is the type of plate I was talking about, by the way. 4 medevacs filled with marines heading towards the top left side of the map. We'll be meeting up with a couple of lings and banelings here, which are sent over there by Commander Rogue. Queen's in position. Good queen control here out of Rogue. Double Nidus is done as well. We have these overseers. Oh, look at that. We're looking for position. We're looking for position. Is it here? Is this the position that Rogue wants to go in? That's 1. That's 2. Let's take a look at the response here out of time. Should be well in time with this. So we have still 7 medevacs filled with units on the map, but these marauders and the single tank will be capable of dealing with this threat. Now we have some possibilities maybe of going here. No, instead we'll put it into the main base right next to that tank. 2 ghosts. Is that going to be enough? We're going to need to stim these marauders again. As one of these medevacs has gone down already. Second medevac also... Well, most likely one of them will go down, no? They're not really being controlled right at this moment. The Nidus did get taken out. Both of these medevacs are... No! They will survive with 2 HP. 4 medevacs on the left side will stay alive for now, though. +2 range is on the way, so let's +3 carapace about to finish up here. Triple CC being thrown down, as Time is playing a very passive game. Needs to make sure to catch all of these Niduses, because right now he's not really paying attention to that Nidus. That is almost, what, 15 seconds without any real response here out of time. I have no clue how that even happens. Yeah, Nidus finishes up. That was very poorly done here out of the Chinese Terran player, who's going to be struggling. Is he going to be struggling with the cleanup? There's a couple of ghosts. A Liberator is helping out. No Hydras in this army. No Vipers with this army either. A couple of snipes to take out the final 2. Oh, this is absolutely fine. This was a brilliant trade here for the Chinese Terran for sure. This was great. It felt like Rogue was just feeding him lurkers. Now, I don't mind a lurker Nidus generally, but if there is a Liberator there and the ghosts are in position, you're going to need some backup. You're going to either need a couple of Hydras or even some Ling Bane to deny the snipes, you know? You just need something else. I wouldn't mind a couple of Hydras in there, personally. So we see right now that Rogue is actually falling behind in the unit loss. Now, luckily for Rogue, he has been mining a decent amount. Once again, we have one of these Niduses going up in the main base. Do we have a split off of the army? We do not have a split off. This Liberator is still in position. A second Nidus is being constructed right now. I don't think Time is going to be here quick enough. Well, single lurker will get taken out, and this thing will also die most likely before anything of big importance can pop out. Infantry weapons level 3 are about to finish up, in vehicle plating level 1. I'm surprised we're seeing the vehicle plating rather than the +2 attack. You could say usually the plating is very useful on the mines, but oh, he's actually going to produce mines rather than more tanks. So he believes the lurkers are a bit of a fake. We have another Nidus in the main base. How many Niduses have come down so far? We're at the 8 Niduses, and it's going to be number 9. I think over here, right? That is indeed how it works. We killed 8 before and then takes out 1 more. That's going to be 9. 82 workers total here for Time. It's a bit much, perhaps. It is a bit much, perhaps. But, well, especially if he's going to be losing this planetary. You see these SCVs kind of walking towards their death. Maybe go for a repair. Slightly too late there with the response. Good blinding cloud out of Rogue. With the Banelings moving forward, a lot of these ghosts will take a big hit. This wasn't the worst fight for Time, cost efficiency wise. But let's not forget what the goal of the Zerg player here is. The goal of the Zerg player tends to not be to get cost-efficient fights. The goal of the Zerg player is to take out bases, making sure that as a Zerg player you're always maxed out. Then take a trade and basically hope your opponent doesn't have money to remax. And you just keep doing that until your opponent doesn't have money anymore. If you're going to be going for a split map scenario, I think your setup is going to be different. You're going to be most likely be going into Brood Lords, maybe a couple of Infestors as well, because you're going to need a big cost-efficient trade. But with this type of army, against the army that Time has, yeah, you're just not going to get cost-efficient trades. It's not possible, basically, to get cost-efficient trades when you have an army that consists of, what is it, 50 Banelings, 40 Banelings, excuse me. Here come the Banes, mines are trying to burrow, will all get taken out before anything big happens there. Mine in the back will not be able to really get a lock on. So these Banelings are going to be taking out a lot of these SCVs, but not just SCVs, also a big portion of the army goes down. We see that at this point, it really is an army consisting of specialists. You know, we have, what, 14 Ghosts, we have 4 Liberators and 3 Tanks. Then we only have 3 Marauders and 9 Marines as the more primitive units in this composition. And very often it's the primitive units that... Oh, another F2. Look at that. Just sends it back. It's the primitive units that kind of force... that kind of force the opponent to split their army, you know? If you have your Bioforce on the right side clearing creep and trying to take out bases, that's a big deal, because... It means that the Zerg can't just have a massive army on one side. No, the Zerg needs to be responding to things. And has less vision in general as well. It's easier to clear creep if you have a lot of those Marines and Marauders. This base is going to get taken out. I hope we're going to see a quick lift off. We will. Is there any Vipers left in this composition? Where are they? Okay, they're all just gaining some energy. Recently I've been introduced to the concept of the backup Viper. And if the action stalls for a little more... I will be able to explain the backup Viper in detail. Okay, so the backup Viper is a Viper that isn't in the main Viper control group, but is just chilling behind. If you're a Zerg player that doesn't trust his own Viper control, you can kind of do that, you know? Because they all clump up, they get EMP'd or they get sniped, and it's like, oh crap, I don't have Vipers anymore, which tends to be a really big deal. So what you do instead is you just leave one Viper over here, then the opponent thinks, aha, I killed all the Vipers, and maybe they start moving forward with tanks or with Liberators, and you go, aha, backup Vipers here for you. Got introduced to me by Sortov. He told me it's absolutely brilliant. He also told me you can kind of cycle the old, like the backup Vipers and the current Vipers. So if the current Vipers run out of energy, you just swap them with the backup Vipers. The current Vipers become the backup Vipers. I love the idea, honestly. It does of course cost a little more supply. Now we see the real Vipers here moving in. Liberators are being pulled out of position. Banelings are actually moving in from an odd angle. As so far this fight is going kind of well for Time, honestly. Mines didn't get any big connections, but it doesn't really seem to be necessary. This was a good fight. This really was a good fight. Now, there is something that can go wrong here, and that is when Zerg remaxes really quickly. Terran moves across the map, trying to get some major damage done. It needs to be just this base. It needs to be just this base. You go for this base, you take it out, you go back home. You can't continue, especially with these ghosts. They're so vulnerable on creep. Perfect decision making here once again out of the Chinese Terran, who is going to lose a decent portion of his Marines. Well, a decent portion was 4 or 5 Marines. It's a good deal there. 19 drones, a base, a good fight, and all you lose is 4 Marines. Yeah, I'm down for that trade. And now Rogue wants to go again. And we see the switch in army. You see that? This is just beautiful Zerg play. This is as Zerg as it gets. So initially he goes in with an army that consists of, what, 50 Banelings? Oh, what a good scan. Time sees it. Alright, initially goes in with an army that consists of 50 Banelings, saying, hey, you might want to get some mines. And now it's going to be Lurkers, which you much rather have tanks and more Liberators against. So you see these Lurkers kind of going to town on these mines. Now that tends to be a slow process, because otherwise you're just going to get detonated on top of. There's still, well, there's actually no mines here anymore in the fight. These Banelings are trying to get a connection with the Ghost, while the Lurkers are dealing with this 5th base here. Don't forget, this really is the only major mining base at this point for Time. Ghosts are being pulled into these Lurkers. Lurkers get a pretty decent trade there, and there's still 5 in the back. Hydras here with the reinforcement. Oh god, is Rogue right now wishing that he had some backup Vipers, as all of them have gone down in this fight. Snipes are going down as enough Ghosts remain alive, and Time will once again push back this army. 5th base probably most importantly, stays alive as well. Don't forget we're on 6 orbitals, so if Time does need a little bit of money, if he says, hey, I'm a little bit poor, he can skip out perhaps on a couple of scans, and especially if he gets a bunch of tanks up right now, that would help greatly. I'd love to see a turret. Yep, turret, no! That turret got cancelled by that mine placement. Oh, that is not good. We're gonna need a turret, because in my opinion, we're gonna be lower on scans. Ooh, holy crap, he has a lot of energy. He should throw down a couple of mules, because his money is low, he's not maxed out. Like, he needs to remax ASAP, and a lot of his production facilities right now are not doing much of anything. Big 2 mine hits there on all of those links. Oh, the Ghosts are being microed back. Tank in the 3rd base actually is going to jump into action as well now. Tank even further back also gets a couple of pot shots off. Still a lot of lurkers in this army though, with 13 lurkers alive, not a single Viper on the map, which means that every engagement will need to be running headfirst into the opponent. Yeah, Time is going to be losing, well, the last 2 of his mining bases, and most importantly, he isn't really lifting his 1 orbital on the 3rd base. Can be losing these SCVs either, Time. You don't have that much mining. This is a bad fight here for Rogue, though, as a lot of those Marines in the back still dealing well with those links. Now the lurkers come in to support. Good scan out of Time. We'll be able to take out the lurker, but I think the Hydras might just barely be enough. Oh, energy is running low on these medevacs, and that single Ghost is going to get picked up and sent back home. This game has actually ended. I thought this game is getting bunkers right now, but it seems like Time has had enough. So he had almost no income left, no real supply. Taps out, and Rogue wins this game. Alright, it's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you had a good time. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we'll see you all next time for a new video. Bye bye.